In today's world, attracting women often seems like a game that many men play without fully understanding the rules. The truth is, when it comes to attraction, the most effective strategy isn't playing hard to get or trying to impress. Instead, it's about being a high-value man who exudes self-respect, purpose, and inner strength. Stoic philosophy offers timeless wisdom that can guide men in mastering the art of attraction, not through manipulation, but through authentic self-control. This video will explore how to control attraction using principles from Stoic philosophy. We'll break down 8 key reasons why high-value men tend to ignore women, and why this approach is not only effective, but vital for building strong, healthy relationships. It's about creating intrigue, cultivating respect, and living with a sense of purpose that naturally draws people in. Stick with us as we dive deep into how embracing Stoic values can make you a more attractive, powerful, and grounded individual. Number 1. Be bold. Approach women confidently and take initiative. Boldness is not just a trait, it's a mindset. It is the foundation of taking action in any aspect of life, whether it's in relationships, work, or personal growth. High value. Men are not passive in their pursuits. They understand that life doesn't wait for anyone, and neither should they. They act with confidence, knowing that the power lies within their control to initiate what they desire. This principle is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, which stresses the importance of confronting challenges directly and without fear. Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, understood that the greatest obstacle to achieving success and fulfillment is often the hesitation to act. They believed that inaction, driven by fear or doubt, leads to missed opportunities. The Stoic approach to life revolves around taking decisive action based on reason and virtue, without being paralyzed by uncertainty. When it comes to attraction, the first step for high-value men is to take the initiative. They don't sit back and wait for women to approach them. They go after what they want with confidence and self-assurance. Whether it's striking up a conversation, inviting someone out, or simply expressing interest, they understand that boldness isn't about recklessness. It's about clarity of intention. In a world where many men wait for the right moment or endlessly overthink their approach, high-value men differentiate themselves by moving with purpose. They approach women with the same sense of determination they apply to their goals and ambitions. By doing so, they demonstrate that they are comfortable with themselves and their intentions. They aren't seeking approval or validation. They are acting from a place of strength, which is incredibly attractive. From a Stoic perspective, this aligns with the teaching that virtue lies in action. Stoics are not passive observers of life. They are active participants who take ownership of their decisions. The same applies to attraction. A high-value man does not sit idly by and hope for attraction to come to him. He takes purposeful steps to connect, understanding that he cannot control the outcome, but he can control how he engages with the world. To illustrate this with a Stoic, quote, Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This philosophy is not about avoiding obstacles, but about embracing them as opportunities to act. For high-value men, women are not obstacles to be feared or revered. They are simply opportunities to express their desires and intentions with clarity and authenticity. Being bold is also deeply tied to emotional resilience. Stoicism teaches that we should not be slaves to our emotions, but rather we should control them. High-value men are not afraid of rejection because they do not define their worth by external validation. The fear of rejection does not paralyze them. Instead, it becomes part of the process. They approach with the understanding that not every interaction will lead to a connection, and that's perfectly fine. It is not a reflection of their value, but simply a part of life's natural ebb and flow. In practice, being bold means acting without overthinking or doubting yourself. It means taking a step forward even when the outcome is uncertain. High-value men don't wait for the perfect moment. They create their own opportunities, whether it's making the first move in a conversation or expressing interest, in a way that is direct and clear. The key is to act decisively without hesitation. This mindset shifts the power dynamic. Instead of waiting for external validation or approval, the high-value man takes control of his own narrative. He attracts women not by chasing them, but by being assertive and confident in his own desires and intentions. So, when it comes to attraction, boldness is about taking initiative, acting with purpose and not letting fear or doubt stand in the way. This is the foundation of self-respect and confidence, two qualities that inherently make a man more attractive. By embracing boldness, a high-value man immediately stands out in a sea of passive, unsure individuals. This is the kind of man women find intriguing and desirable. Boldness is not about being brash or pushy. It's about living with intention, making clear decisions, and taking action regardless of the outcome. Number 2. Attention. Withholding it creates intrigue and signals. Self-respect. High-value men understand that attention is a valuable resource. They don't waste it, and they certainly don't give it away freely. The truth is, many men think that showering women with attention will win their favor. But in reality, when attention is given too easily, it loses its value and makes a man seem needy. High-value men know that their attention should be reserved for what truly matters, and this principle applies to women as well. In a world where women are constantly bombarded with attention, whether it's from social media, friends, or random people, what stands out is a man who doesn't give it away freely. When a high-value man withholds attention, it sparks curiosity. This isn't a tactic to manipulate or play games, but rather a reflection of self-respect. A high-value man values his time, energy, and emotional investment, and he doesn't waste them on relationships that don't align with his principles. The idea behind withholding attention is rooted in psychology. It's called the scarcity effect. Essentially, the rarer something is, the more valuable it becomes. This is a principle that works in many areas of life, including attraction. When a man is always available or eager to give his attention to any woman, his value diminishes. However, when he is focused on his purpose, his goals, and his own growth, his attention becomes scarce, and that scarcity makes him more desirable. Women are drawn to men who seem to have their own lives, ambitions, and purpose. They aren't constantly seeking validation from others. High-value men make it clear that they are emotionally independent. They aren't desperate for attention or affection. Instead, they are content with their own lives, and that sense of contentment is magnetic. In Stoic philosophy, there is a strong emphasis on self-sufficiency and controlling what is within your power. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." High-value men adopt this mindset, especially when it comes to attention. They don't need the approval of others to feel validated. Their sense of self-worth comes from within. This emotional independence is incredibly attractive because it signals strength and self-respect. When attention is given freely, it can lead to a power imbalance. The person seeking attention often becomes dependent on it for validation. High-value men avoid this. By withholding attention, they maintain control of their emotions and don't let the approval of others dictate how they feel about themselves. This ability to remain emotionally balanced and self-reliant makes them more appealing, especially to women who are looking for a strong, grounded partner. But this doesn't mean that high-value men ignore women altogether or play cold and distant. It's about finding balance. A man who knows his worth doesn't need to chase attention, and he doesn't fall into the trap of giving it away just to gain approval. Instead, he reserves his attention for those who truly deserve it. He values meaningful connections over superficial interactions. When a high-value man withholds attention, it creates a sense of intrigue. Women want to know why he isn't like the others who are constantly chasing after them. His mystery draws them in, not because he's playing games, but because he's living a life of purpose and integrity. His focus on his own goals and ambitions makes him more interesting, and that interest is what fuels attraction. In relationships, this principle can be a game changer. Attention, when given too freely, can lead to dependency. But when it's earned and not taken for granted, it fosters healthier, more balanced dynamics. High-value men know that their attention is not something to be given away without thought. They are selective, not out of arrogance, but because they understand the importance of maintaining a sense of self and emotional independence. In Stoicism, virtue and self-control are core principles. A high-value man lives by these principles, ensuring that he does not give in to fleeting desires or the need for external validation. By withholding attention, he not only protects his own emotional balance, but also creates a space for deeper, more meaningful interactions. Women find this sense of control and confidence incredibly attractive, because it shows that he values himself and his time. In the end, withholding attention isn't about playing hard to get or acting aloof. It's about respecting oneself enough to know that your time and energy are precious. It's about attracting women not through neediness or desperation, but through the quiet strength that comes from living with purpose and self-respect. This is the real power behind withholding attention. Number 3, embracing the fearless mindset, confidence in your own worth. One of the most powerful traits a high-value man possesses is confidence. Confidence in his own worth, in his purpose, and in his ability to navigate life's challenges. This mindset is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught that we should not be slaves to external forces, and that true power comes from within. A high-value man embodies this by remaining fearless, not because he has no doubts, but because he has developed the mental strength to face them head-on. The Stoics believed that self-control and rational thinking were key to emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, constantly reminded himself to focus on what was within his control and to ignore the distractions of the external world. When a man is confident in his own worth and understands that external validation is not the source of his happiness, he becomes immune to the anxiety and uncertainty that often accompany relationships. This is especially true when it comes to women. For a high-value man, women are not elevated to a pedestal where they hold the power to validate him. He doesn't need their approval to feel good about himself. This is where true confidence lies. It's not arrogance or dismissiveness, but rather an inner assurance that comes from knowing his worth and having a clear sense of purpose. A man who embraces the fearless mindset doesn't fear rejection because he recognizes that rejection is simply a part of life, not a reflection of his personal value. This mindset is incredibly attractive. Women are drawn to men who are comfortable with themselves and who don't rely on others to define their self-worth. When a man is fearless, he exudes a quiet strength, which is both magnetic and powerful. When you stop seeking validation from external sources, you open the door to true confidence. The Stoic idea of focusing on what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and your emotional responses, helps cultivate this confidence. A high-value man doesn't worry about what women think of him, because he knows that his value comes from within, not from their approval. This approach to confidence transforms how women see him. Instead of feeling pressure to meet expectations or prove himself, a high-value man simply acts in alignment with his values and principles. He doesn't try to be someone he's not. His confidence isn't about impressing others. It's about being true to himself. This fearless mindset doesn't only apply to how he interacts with women. It influences every area of his life. Whether it's in his career, personal goals, or relationships, a high-value man faces challenges head-on. The Stoics were clear. Courage is essential to living a virtuous life. Without fear, a man can pursue his goals, stay true to his values, and make choices that align with his purpose. Women see this courage, this strength, and they are naturally attracted to it. In practical terms, this mindset allows a man to approach women without hesitation. He doesn't overthink the situation or worry about whether he'll be rejected. Instead, he walks into any interaction with the confidence that he is enough as he is. He understands that women are drawn to men who are emotionally stable and comfortable with themselves. This quiet confidence is what makes him stand out from other men who are driven by neediness or fear of rejection. But this fearlessness isn't just about being bold or assertive. It's about inner strength. A high-value man doesn't react emotionally to every situation. He's able to stay calm and composed, even when things don't go as planned. This emotional resilience, this ability to remain steadfast in the face of uncertainty, is a key aspect of the fearless mindset. For a high-value man, this fearlessness is a way of life. It's not something he turns on and off. It's a permanent part of who he is. By embracing this mindset, he becomes not only more attractive but also more capable of navigating the complexities of relationships. He isn't easily swayed by external circumstances, and this inner stability creates a safe space for genuine connection to flourish. In Stoic terms, being fearless means accepting that life is unpredictable, and that rejection or failure is not something to be feared, but something to learn from. By adopting this mindset, high-value men are able to approach relationships with a sense of ease, knowing that they do not need to chase or beg for attention. Their confidence comes from knowing that their value is inherent, and they do not have to prove it to anyone. Number 4, stop rewarding bad behavior, setting boundaries and maintaining respect. In relationships, one of the most critical elements that high-value men possess is the ability to set firm boundaries. These boundaries are not merely a form of protection. They are a clear expression of self-respect and an essential part of maintaining a healthy dynamic. High-value men understand that without boundaries, relationships can quickly become imbalanced, and they take full responsibility for ensuring that their time, energy, and emotional investment are treated with respect. When a woman exhibits behavior that is irrational, manipulative, or disrespectful, A high-value man doesn't simply ignore it or try to fix the situation out of desperation to please her. Instead, he evaluates the situation with clarity and composure. If the behavior doesn't align with his standards for how he expects to be treated, he will distance himself temporarily. This doesn't mean playing games or trying to punish the woman for her actions, but rather taking a step back to allow emotions to settle, create space for reflection, and ensure that any response is made from a place of calm reason, not reactive motion. This practice of setting boundaries might look different depending on the situation. It could mean taking a break from constant communication, not responding immediately to text messages, or simply choosing not to engage when the other person's actions are causing emotional strain. In some cases, it could even mean walking away from a relationship entirely if the behavior is repetitive or crosses a line. The key here is that high-value men understand their worth and do not feel compelled to tolerate poor behavior just to keep a relationship intact. The ability to set clear boundaries is deeply connected to the Stoic principle of emotional resilience. The Stoics believed that one cannot control the actions of others, but one can control how they respond. In relationships, this translates to not allowing disrespect or manipulation to affect your emotional well-being. As Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." In the context of relationships, this strength comes from the ability to maintain emotional detachment from unhealthy behaviors and make decisions that protect your sense of self-respect and dignity. By practicing emotional detachment in this way, a high-value man shows that his respect for himself and his standards cannot be compromised. It's not about being cold or dismissive. It's about recognizing that his worth does not depend on any one relationship, and he will not invest in a connection that undermines his core values. Women are naturally drawn to this strength, as it communicates that he is emotionally grounded and capable of maintaining stability, even in challenging situations. What's important to understand here is that setting boundaries isn't about punishing others or acting out of spite. It's about demonstrating your own emotional maturity and taking control over what you allow into your life. When you don't tolerate disrespect, you teach others how to treat you, and more importantly, you teach yourself what kind of treatment you are willing to accept. A high-value man doesn't make excuses for bad behavior. He addresses it calmly and directly, ensuring that his interactions are always grounded in respect. A crucial part of this dynamic is communication. High-value men know how to communicate their boundaries clearly and assertively, without unnecessary confrontation. For example, if a woman is acting disrespectfully, he will calmly express his feelings about her behavior without getting defensive or emotional. This might look like saying, "I value honesty and respect in a relationship, and I'm not comfortable with the way things have been going. I need some space to think things through." This approach not only asserts his boundaries but also communicates his values in a way that is direct, respectful, and measured. Moreover, by consistently setting and upholding boundaries, high-value men are creating a relationship dynamic where respect is earned, not expected. This naturally increases attraction, as women are drawn to men who aren't easily swayed by emotional manipulation. A man who won't tolerate bad behavior shows that he is confident in his own worth and that he values his time, energy, and emotional well-being more than the desire for external validation or approval. This self-sufficiency is incredibly attractive because it signals that the man is not desperate for affection or attention. He is comfortable with being emotionally independent, and this independence is magnetic. This brings us to another critical aspect of boundary setting that high-value men embrace: not rewarding bad behavior. When a woman exhibits negative behavior, a high-value man does not give in to the temptation to placate her or give her attention just to restore peace. Instead, he understands that rewarding bad behavior, whether through continuous attention or validation, only reinforces the toxicity. When he withdraws his attention in response to disrespectful actions, it serves as a subtle but powerful signal that such behavior is unacceptable. This approach encourages healthier, more respectful interactions, and over time the woman will learn that she must treat him with the same respect he affords her. In the context of relationships, this consistent commitment to self-respect and emotional regulation also gives the high-value man the freedom to make decisions that are truly in line with his values. When he doesn't feel obligated to stay in a toxic situation, he is free to move on and create space for more fulfilling, respectful relationships. In the long run, this approach ensures that the relationships he does invest in are aligned with his highest standards and principles, which leads to deeper, more meaningful connections. As we move forward, it's clear that emotional independence and the ability to set boundaries are essential to the high-value man's appeal. However, these principles are further amplified when a man is focused on something greater than the relationships themselves, his purpose. Let's now explore the importance of purpose and how it elevates the high-value man's attractiveness, making him even more magnetic. Number 5. Busy with the power of purpose. Focused on what truly matters. A high-value man's life is driven by purpose, a deep, unwavering sense of direction that guides every decision and action he takes. This purpose isn't just a vague ambition. It's a commitment to something larger than himself. It's about dedicating time and energy to meaningful pursuits, whether it's career, personal growth, or contributions to the community that align with his core values and ideals. When a man lives with purpose, his energy is not scattered or dependent on the validation of others. Instead, it is focused on creating something of value in the world and continuously improving himself in the process. One of the most attractive qualities of high-value men is that they are busy. Not just busy in the sense of being constantly occupied, but busy with activities that are deeply fulfilling and aligned with their purpose. Whether it's building a business, mastering a craft, or pursuing intellectual growth, their lives are focused on growth, achievement, and adding value to the world around them. This sense of purpose creates a magnetic aura that draws others in. Women especially are attracted to men who seem to be in constant motion towards something greater, something significant. High-value men don't just wait around for attention. They don't make their worth dependent on the approval of others. They have their own passions, goals, and dreams that fuel their day-to-day lives. This gives them an emotional independence that is incredibly powerful. They understand that their value is not determined by how much attention or affection they receive from others, especially women. Instead, their sense of worth comes from internal validation, which is grounded in the pursuit of their purpose. Living with purpose and virtue. The Stoic philosophers placed great emphasis on living virtuously and focusing on what is within one's control. In the context of relationships, this Stoic principle translates to a man focusing on his own development, emotional strength, and the pursuit of personal excellence. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. be won. The best way to attract others is by embodying the qualities of a man who is living according to his highest standards, focused on becoming the best version of himself, and dedicated to something larger than himself. When a man is busy with his purpose, he doesn't need to seek validation or approval from women. He naturally exudes confidence because his sense of worth isn't attached to others' perceptions of him. This emotional independence makes him more attractive because it signals that he doesn't need external affirmation to feel good about himself. His value comes from the internal satisfaction he gets from pursuing meaningful work and personal growth. This is a core aspect of Stoic philosophy, the idea that one's happiness should not be dependent on external circumstances or the approval of others. Purpose as a filter. The man who is driven by purpose doesn't have time to chase every woman or give excessive attention to people who aren't aligned with his goals. His focus is sharp, and he surrounds himself with individuals who support his growth. This creates a natural filter. The people who come into his life must be those who complement his mission, share similar values, and contribute positively to his journey. Women, like anyone else, are drawn to those who seem purposeful because it indicates that they have direction and ambition, qualities that are highly attractive. A man who is committed to living a purposeful life is not only more fulfilled in himself, but he also attracts people who share the same mindset and are looking for deeper connections. The power of purpose also allows high-value men to embrace a sense of resilience. Life throws challenges at everyone, but when a man is focused on a larger purpose, he is less likely to be swayed by temporary setbacks or emotional turbulence in relationships. His purpose provides him with the mental strength to weather storms, remain composed, and stay true to his values. This resilience, coupled with his emotional independence, makes him incredibly attractive because it signals that he is anchored in his beliefs and goals, not easily shaken by external factors. Moreover, living with purpose fosters a sense of gratitude and humility. High-value men understand that their purpose is a privilege, and they don't take it for granted. This attitude of gratitude not only enriches their own lives, but also deepens their relationships. Women are drawn to men who are humble, self-aware, and grounded in something greater than themselves. These men understand that they are part of a larger journey, and that every relationship, every interaction, is an opportunity to grow, learn, and contribute. Avoiding the trap of neediness. One of the key dangers for men who lack purpose is falling into the trap of neediness. When a man doesn't have a solid direction or vision for his life, he can easily become desperate for external validation, especially from women. He may start to seek attention from every woman he meets, chasing validation through compliments, affection, or even approval. This desperation is often transparent and unattractive. High-value men, however, do the opposite. Because they are busy living with purpose, they don't have the time or energy to seek validation from others. Their focus is on their mission, and as a result, they attract others who value that independence, maturity, and confidence. This connection to purpose also allows a high-value man to be selective in his relationships. He knows that time is precious, and that his emotional energy is best spent on people who align with his goals and values. Women are naturally attracted to men who are not only emotionally independent, but also discerning in who they allow into their lives. The more focused a man is on his own growth and development, the less likely he is to tolerate superficial relationships or people who drain his energy. He values relationships that are built on mutual respect, shared values, and meaningful connections. Summary. Living with purpose is one of the most powerful ways high-value men naturally attract others. It's not about playing games or acting aloof. It's about embodying the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control and dedicating your life to something greater than yourself. When a man is focused on his own growth, he becomes magnetic, attractive not because of any external validation, but because he is anchored in his own self-worth, confident in his direction, and unshaken by external challenges. This purpose-driven life forms the bedrock upon which his emotional independence, resilience, and attractiveness are built. As we've explored throughout this video, the principles that make high-value men attractive are deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. By embracing qualities like self-respect, emotional independence, and purpose-driven living, high-value men not only build stronger relationships, but also lead lives of greater fulfillment and resilience. The ability to communicate clearly, set boundaries, prioritize time, and maintain emotional stability is what truly defines a man's value, not just in the eyes of others, but in his own eyes. Remember, these are not manipulative strategies or games. They are principles that allow a man to align his actions with his core values and principles. By focusing on self-improvement and living with intention, high-value men naturally attract the right people into their lives, fostering deep, meaningful connections that are grounded in respect and mutual growth. So whether you're looking to improve your relationships or simply elevate your personal life, these Stoic principles will guide you to become a more confident, purpose-driven individual. Keep in mind that the journey to becoming a high-value man is not about perfection, but about embracing continuous growth and self-awareness. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who might benefit from it. Stay true to yourself, live with purpose, and remember, the most powerful attraction comes from within. Stay stoic, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.